Greetings, dear travelers. Another month and another contest in the bag for the subreddit group Allure Stories. If you're new here and unfamiliar with our partnership with Allure Stories group, let me break it down for you. Allure Stories, as mentioned, is a subgroup on Reddit that gears to be a safe place to share your stories as a writer, get writing advice, and build community with other content creators. Each month, we host a writing contest in which the winners get their stories produced by one of the partners. The stories this month are from our October winners. If you're interested in participating in our monthly contest, I'll go ahead and leave the link to the Allure Stories subgroup down in our show notes, and come on and join us. You don't always have to enter in the contest, but you can also just share your work. It's a great place to feel encouragement and get feedback from other writers. Now that you've had the breakdown, let's get into the story. This month, the Morbid Forest is proud to present The Witch of Black Hollow. In the remote forests of New England, far from the comfort of paved roads and towns, there is a place that no local will dare to speak of, known to few as Black Hollow. It's a stretch of dense woodland where even animals seem to avoid venturing. Over the years, rumors have circulated about strange happenings, children disappearing without a trace, eerie lights flickering between the trees, and unsettling sounds that echo in the dead of night. Though dismissed by most as folklore, historical records tell a different story, one that many have tried to bury. The origins of the legend date back to the 1600s, during the height of the witch trials. A woman by the name of Agnes Colburn lived deep in the woods, on the outskirts of a Puritan village. She was an outsider, a healer, and to many a woman of unholy knowledge. The villagers grew wary of her strange ways, her solitary life, her herbal potions, and the odd symbols she carved into trees. When children from the village began disappearing, the whispers about Agnes grew louder. According to surviving documents, one particularly harsh winter, 3 children vanished within a week. Each had been seen playing near the woods, but never returned. Desperate, the villagers formed search parties, combing the forest in vain. Then, one night, a hunter claimed to have seen Agnes near the edge of the village, dragging something small and limp behind her into the darkness. The next morning, she was accused of witchcraft. The trial was swift. Agnes denied the charges but refused to speak of the missing children. The villagers, convinced of her guilt, took matters into their own hands. They dragged her to the hollow and hanged her from an ancient tree at its heart. Before she died, legend says she cursed the village, vowing to return and take what was hers. The next night, the remaining children vanished. For generations, the story of Agnes Colburn faded into obscurity, told only in hushed tones as a warning to keep children away from the woods. But there are those who believed her curse was not just a myth. In the 1940s, 2 children Siblings named Thomas and Abigail disappeared while playing near the edge of Black Hollow. The town, now a small, forgotten settlement, conducted an extensive search. The children's mother, Anna, was beside herself with grief. Neighbors claimed she wandered into the woods every night, calling for her children, but always returned empty-handed. 3 days later, a farmer named George Merrow, who lived on the edge of the hollow, reported something disturbing. He had heard soft laughter coming from the woods late at night, and when he went to investigate, he found small footprints in the mud leading deeper into the woods. Merrow, terrified, told authorities, but his warnings went unheeded. A week after the disappearance, Anna was found dead, hanging from the same ancient tree where Agnes Colburn had been executed. Her face was twisted in terror, her eyes wide and staring at the forest. There were no signs of the children, but her home was found in disarray, as if she had been frantically searching for something in her final hours. What terrified investigators most was a series of symbols, identical to the ones Agnes had carved centuries before, scratched into the walls of her children's room. In the years that followed, Black Hollow's reputation grew darker. No new families moved into the area, and those who remained kept their children close, especially after dark. Yet the disappearances continued. Every few decades, a child would vanish, always without a trace, and the few who claimed to have seen something would speak of a pale figure standing just at the edge of the woods, watching. In 1986, local historian Margaret Weaver, driven by an obsession with uncovering the truth behind the legend, began researching the history of Black Hollow. She combed through ancient trial records, personal letters, and town archives, trying to piece together the strange events surrounding the Colburn case and the subsequent disappearances. Weaver's final report, published in a small regional journal, detailed a chilling pattern. Each time a child went missing, the surrounding woods would grow unnaturally still, and the air would carry a strange, sweet smell like rotting fruit. More disturbingly, she noted that many of the families whose children disappeared had ancestral ties to the original villagers who had condemned Agnes. Weaver's research ended abruptly when she, too, vanished while visiting Black Hollow late one autumn evening. Her car was found at the forest's edge, keys still in the ignition, and her notes scattered on the ground. The only clue was a single footprint in the mud, much too small to be hers, leading into the hollow. To this day, Black Hollow remains a place of fear. Locals, when pressed, admit that no child has ever been found once they disappear, though some claim to have heard distant laughter or seen fleeting shadows in the forest. They speak of a woman, pale and thin, her eyes gleaming with something otherworldly, standing among the trees at dusk. She is always watching, waiting. The authorities, of course, deny these reports. but those who have lived near the hollow their entire lives know the truth. The Witch of Black Hollow still walks the woods, her hunger never sated, and her curse still claiming the descendants of those who wronged her. And if you listen carefully, on certain nights, you can hear her calling for her children, forever lost in the darkness of the hollow. This has been a Morbid Forest production, and on this week's Allure Stories bonus episode, you've heard The Witch of Black Hollow, written by Reddit user RestAvailable7111, and narrated by Naomi Richards. Story editing and audio production by Naomi Richards. Music and sound effects provided by Epidemic Sound. If you're interested in joining the Reddit subgroup and getting in on these monthly contests, then go ahead and check the link in our show notes. And just a general heads up, guys, that I know that our season is ending soon. I know we're all sad about that, but these Allure Stories episodes will be continuing while we are not in season. So just gives you a little something to look forward to on your feed. And with that, we'll see you next time, travelers, on The Morbid Forest.